My next guest on the Lax Goalie Rap podcast is Loyola's starting goalie. He just told me he's coming back for another year, so still the starting goalie. It's Sam Shafer. Sam, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I always start by asking goalies for the story of their very first save. Do you remember kind of when you first jumped into goal?
I remember when I started playing, so my brother was a goalie before me, and I played attack for a couple years, but I wasn't very good. And then I started playing goalie, and got pretty good at that. So I don't remember the first save though.
Yeah. Do you? Where'd you grow up? Did you guys grow up in kind of a hotbed of lacrosse?
I grew up in a town called Rowayton, Connecticut. It's just outside of Darien, so like the surrounding areas are kind of hotbeds, but my town itself is not considered a hotbed. So
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, I was just curious. That's interesting. So I think most youth, we often advise on this podcast that they start out playing attack or start out playing midi, basically any other position besides goalie, so they can kind of learn a little bit about just the sport and in general. And it sounds like that was the case for you, right?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, love it. So was it your brother that kind of taught you the ropes of how to play goalie, or did you take some camps or have some goalie coaches along the way?
I think it was just kind of on my own, like our youth program wasn't the greatest youth program in the world. Like we didn't have like specific coaches for each position. So I kind of just went with the flow, and wherever it took me, it took me. And, it was fun, but it was a lot to like progress, getting frustrated early on and whatnot. So
Yeah. Yeah. Were you like scared of the ball at the very beginning?
oh yeah, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure I wore like the shin pads. I wore like hockey pants. So
Yeah.
it was,
It's
I mean, who isn't, right?
I know it's kind of the crazy ones that are not. Like
Yeah.
some goalies come on, they're like, yeah, no, I wasn't really scared of it. And I'm just like, wow, that's amazing, because it's such a natural thing to be scared of the ball.
No.
And it's just something that you have to work through. And I'm glad that, I'm glad to hear that you put on the pads, because a lot of goalies see like the pros and see some of the guys in college and say like, oh, I don't want to wear the pads, but I don't think there's any shame in it.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I mean, and there's still guys that are playing college lacrosse that wear, like thigh pads, and I don't blame them. Like
Yeah.
you get hit in the thigh and you want to quit.
Yeah, I would. I mean, if I went back and played a couple years of D1 ball, especially during practice, like I would definitely pad up during practice, during the games. That's a whole other thing. Like you want to be quick, and you want to be you want to feel really quick, and plus you got so much adrenaline going during the games that like it doesn't hurt at all.
Yeah, you're not feeling that.
Yeah. That's cool. So what were some of the other kind of early challenges that apart from being scared of the ball, that you faced as a goalie?
I think just like all the movements becoming natural, it's it takes so like nobody's a master in this position,
Mm-hmm.
you have your off days, and I think like the movements that we do, especially at a high level, like it's so hard to like stay on top of that and see the shots that you're seeing. It's just it takes a lot of practice with that, and I think that's one of the things that kind of I got frustrated with early on because
Mm-hmm.
it's so new to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. It's like, you can even as a goalie, you can break it down like super slow. Let's say you're doing the lead, the lead hand toss drill,
Mhm.
and you can like just, all right, I'm making my saves and I'm doing like such a crisp, clean, direct movement. And then all of a sudden someone shoots one at you 90 miles an hour, and it's like a whole different
Yeah,
ball game, right? So you're right. It's like you can there's so many elements going on, and sometimes when you getting shot on really hard, like you get all mixed up in the movements.
yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. How do you, everyone kind of plays a little bit of a different style. I kind of see you as you're a bigger guy, right? Lefty.
Yeah.
How would you describe your style?
Um, well, I think the majority of goalies that come through Loyola all have a very similar style because Coach Toomey is very particular about the way he likes his goalies and like your footwork and your hands. So I think I'm pretty calm in there, but I think I got fast hands. So I think it's kind of an unconventional way, especially because growing up, I never had a goalie coach. I never had really anything until I got to college, until Coach Toomey started helping me. So I
Yeah.
think it's different, but it works for me.
Yeah. So Coach Toomey, a goalie himself,
Hmm.
and I mean, there's been some great goalies that have passed through Loyola, including Jake Stover, who's in the PLL right now, also a guest on this podcast. Awesome guy. Do you know Jake?
Of course.
Yeah.
I sat behind him for 2 years, and he was another coach to me during my freshman and sophomore year and junior year. He helped out a little bit during when he was taking grad school classes. So
Nice.
he's a good friend of mine.
Awesome. Yeah. Great guy. Great guy.
Hmm.
So what is Coach Toomey like? Let's say I show up day one at Loyola. I've been recruited. What would he tell me?
Um, First day, I mean, his main focus is usually footwork. So he likes when you step at like a 45-degree angle and you're sealing the pipe with your back foot, so you're covering all, the whole net essentially with one step. He likes a nice tight base. Well, not tight, but shoulder width base. Not too wide. Likes your hands to be right under the crossbar. It's a lot of information coming to you, especially for your first, like I remember my first day of college. I was so overwhelmed, and I didn't really know what was going on out there. It was so fast. So, he throws a lot of information at you right away, but as soon as you start getting into the rhythm of things and figuring things out, it all starts to come almost naturally. Not, it takes a couple months to get used to all of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially the hands right under the crossbar type of thing. Because you look at like kind of your stance and Jake's stance, and yeah, the hands are like they're pretty high. They're pretty
Mm-hmm.
high, like in the grand scheme of things. Some goalies set up kind of like with the top hand at like chin level, maybe a little bit below, and then explode to that top shot. And I guess his idea is let's keep the hands up there, and if the shot's high, then we're already there. If not, we can explode down, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Interesting. What about, well, let's actually back up. How did you even get on Loyola's radar? What was the recruiting process like for you? And like, why'd you eventually decide, to go to Loyola?
The recruiting process was brutal. Um, you know, Especially at that period of time when there was no recruiting rules. Kids were committing in like 8th grade. It was ridiculous. And you're not even in high school yet, and people are already starting to talk about college.
Yeah.
And for me, things were slow. They were very slow. Um, my 8th grade summer, I didn't play. I got cut from the club lacrosse program, like the travel team program. So
Wow.
going into high school, I wasn't even going to play lacrosse. I was going to play like baseball or something. And I decided to stick with it. I brought my lacrosse stuff. I went to boarding school, so I brought my stuff to school. And on the weekends, I'd start, like seeing shots and whatever. And people were like, did you get like recruited to come here? I was like, no, like I don't even think I'm gonna play lacrosse this year. And they were convinced me to play lacrosse. One of my best friends was on the lacrosse team, so he forced me to stick with it. And going into my freshman summer, I played on one club team, and I wasn't getting a whole lot of help with the recruiting process and whatnot. So the next year I switched to another program, and the head of that program, he went through Loyola, and he was like, dude, like, I think you would love it here. It would be a great fit for you. And I was like, yeah, I'll take a visit there. I'll go there. And I went, and it was beautiful. I mean, the campus is amazing. And I fell in love. And that was like, I was set right then and there. Like I visited other schools, but I was like, this is the spot where I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't commit until the summer going into my junior year. The process was like, it was like unsure yet. Coaches were unsure. Everyone was unsure with like what was going on. So we waited it out, and things worked out in the long run.
Yeah, they did. How did you go from, getting cut on that club team 8th grade year to being like a D1 goalie?
I mean, it. I mean, it was yeah, it was tough. I mean, I didn't even want to play lacrosse, but
Right.
I fell in love with the sport, and I wanted to play the sport, but I just didn't see me having a future in the sport. So why not try something new? But I'm really happy I stuck with it. I mean, lacrosse is such a unique sport, and so many people that you meet through it are like some of your best friends in the long run. So,
For sure.
that was a big point in that, like being around 45 guys on a team, and all of them are your best friends. So, that was awesome.
Yeah, there's really nothing like it. Like I said, before we hit record, I played lacrosse in the MCLA at Cal, and it was the same. I mean, not as high level competition in terms of the players. Like we certainly like went all out effort wise, but it's just 40. I don't know if we had that many guys, but 35 of like just friends for life. And one guy was the best man at my wedding. The other guys, a lot of guys are still in group texts and stay in contact to this day. And if any young goalies out there listening and like contemplating even like giving it a shot to play in college at any level, MCLA, D3, D2, I say do it.
Yeah. And that's another thing, going into the whole process, it was like, oh, D1 or bust. Like, D1's not for everyone. Like, you end up where you were supposed to end up.
Mm. I say that quite a bit. Yeah. And it does seem to be the case where sometimes people will tell their recruiting story and they'll be like, oh, I really wanted, such and such school. And then I didn't get in there. And then they end up going to this other school and just have like an amazing experience. So you were meant to be there. Cool. And, so you take a visit to Loyola and meet Coach Toomey, I imagine.
Yep.
What were kind of your first impressions of him?
I mean, you see him and he opens his arms and gives you a huge hug. And I think my mom loved him more than anyone else she ever met. She was like, this is the nicest guy ever. He's like, he tells it to you as it is. He says like, these are going to be hard years, but they're going to be the best 4 years of your life. And
Mm-hmm.
they truly have been. And especially with the other coaches on our staff. I mean, everyone says this, but we have a one of a kind coaching staff. We have, Coach Van, who's a legend in his own, and Coach Dwan, who is like everyone's father figure. I mean, it's an awesome staff.
Coach Van is Van Arsdale.
Yeah, Coach Van Arsdale.
Yeah, a goalie as well, right?
No, I don't
No?
think I think he was an attackman.
Okay. I've emailed with him before. That's why, and maybe he was giving me some goalie advice, but it could have been from the point of view from attackman. So I don't know. Guy Van Arsdale, right?
No,
Am I thinking of someone else?
I think you're thinking of someone else.
Okay. All right. Forget that whole thing. Let's get back to the Sam Shafer show here. All right, cool. And then, so when you guys, when you think about goalie training at Loyola, what do you guys do? What do you guys do to train? Is it a lot of live shots? Do you do like, a lot of agility, jump rope type stuff as well? What's your like training regiment look like?
So yeah, we do a lot of jump roping. We do a lot of live shots. Coach likes to see, like real game situation shots, not just step down shots. So we do a lot of like hitching and shots down the alley, shots in the middle, coming up from back. So, he really tries to mix in a lot of like the real game situation shots, not just step down shots that you see from your buddy. But yeah, he likes what he likes, and ever since I've been there, we've done the same drills. So
do you guys do any like hand-eye coordination type stuff?
we do a couple drills. We do one drill where it's like we do tennis balls in the net. You're one pipe, you catch a tennis ball, go to the middle. It's like a chest pass with a medicine ball, and then you get over to the next pipe and you got to catch the tennis ball. It doesn't sound very interesting, me explaining it. But
so you're on the right pipe. You kind of make a save with the tennis ball. And then you go to the middle. What was the medicine ball? There's literally a medicine ball there.
It's no stick, just like hands and gloves.
Got it. And then you pick up the medicine ball and kind of throw it out.
Yeah, you throw it. So it's like a quick touch. You like catch it and throw it right back. And then you get over to the other pipe.
Awesome. Yeah. Got it. Yeah. I've seen a lot of drills where like which involve kind of a medicine ball and like throwing it out. And if you think about it, like that's a great drill because like a lot of what we do as goalies is driving our hands,
Yeah.
out to the ball. So you're kind of using a lot of those same muscles. Good drill. All right, cool. Talking a little bit about this season, how would I like to do these save edits. I don't know if you've ever watched any of those, but essentially I just watch the game and pick out all of the saves. And I did a Loyola game and you got benched.
I did. Yep.
Bucknell.
No, not Army.
Army. Was it Army?
Yeah. We
What was that like for you? I mean, because that's a tough thing for a goalie. It happens to us all, right? But what goes through your head when that happens?
I mean, especially at such a high level, it's next man up. Like I could get hurt and all I could do is support Freeman, who's one of my best friends on the team. And, he's earned the right to go in there. Like, obviously there's a reason why I was pulled from the game. And Coach Toomey thought Freeman would give us the best opportunity to get back in the game. And, if you sit there and sulk about it, then nothing good is ever going to happen from that. So, that whole week, it was a tough week, obviously, but all I could do was go and work and give it my all and try to have fun doing it while supporting my teammates. So, it was a bad week, but everyone has bad weeks, and it's not about what happens, it's about what happens next. So,
yeah. I love that. Not about what happens, about what happens next. It's a common cliche on this podcast where goalies need to have that like that short-term memory, and every goalie has kind of their own words with it, their own way of thinking about it. But yeah, it's not what happens. It's what happens next, right? I mean, just how you react is what we can control.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it worked out in the long run, but if it didn't, I gave it my all in practice. I supported my teammates and I did what I could do to help my team.
Yeah. And then you end up earning, the starting spot back, obviously, and Loyola goes on pretty good run. I mean, congratulations on the great season.
Thank you.
Yeah. Can't wait to see what you guys are going to do next year.
I know.
Awesome. Yeah.
It's tough to get out there again, especially after the way that we went out. I think we're all it happened. And as soon as it happened, we're like, we need to get back to school now and have the season start now.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's funny because I've talked to other goalies. I had like an older goalie, Scott Bacigalupo, and he played at Princeton, right? And his team lost in overtime. And then they won like 3 straight national championships. And a lot of it was driven because of that loss in overtime, like you guys, where like you have that fire in your belly. You're like, you know what? I never want to walk off that field in the same way. And it kind of drives you to work hard all off season, all fall ball into the next season. You feeling that?
Most.
Yeah, I love it. What are you doing this summer? Are you doing anything lacrosse goalie related, or are you kind of taking it easy?
Recently I've been taking it easy. I've been, recovering from the season. I've had some injuries. So, trying to like rest up a little bit. And then once I feel good and rested, I'm going to jump right back into lifting. I still play wall ball pretty much every day. I can't go a day without having a stick in my hand. I don't know what's wrong or why it's like, but if I sit down on the couch, I'm like, oh, I'm going to go outside and throw the ball against a chimney and, throw the ball for my dog. And then, seeing shots later down the road, I'm lucky to have, Kevin Lindley, who's a teammate of mine, live 5 minutes away from me. So he's always down to take some shots on me, which is awesome.
Oh, love it. Yeah. I love playing wall ball too myself, and even my playing days are well behind me, but I'll still be working and go outside and throw the ball in the house. For a good 10-minute session. I love it. I think all goalies should get in the habit of falling in love with wall ball because it helps you so much.
Yeah. I mean, especially even if you're just playing with a player stick, just throwing it, working on your hands, it's just fun too.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Were there any games during this season? I mean, obviously we'll talk about the Denver game a little bit, but were there any games this season that really stuck out to you in terms of, you just having a dominant game,
Um,
or just the defense in general having a great game?
I think Georgetown was definitely a game. We played Georgetown on a Thursday night and we held them to like 7, 8 goals, I think. And they were at the time one of the highest scoring offenses, or they were the highest scoring offense. So I think that was, a pretty dominant game. But other than that, I think, I know everyone says this, but our defense is one of a kind. I mean, like when I'm sitting there watching film, I'm like, see a bad goal that's given up like right on the crease. I'm like, that doesn't really happen to us. And we play the game and I don't see the same shots that other goalies do just because our defense is so dominant. I mean, it's crazy to think about, but I mean, they're the best.
Yeah, yeah. Are you is it starting D returning, or do you guys graduate some guys?
We graduated one guy.
Okay.
He was a grad student, and then the rest are, I'm trying to think. Yeah, everyone else is back. So
Nice. That's going to be awesome. You mentioned watching film. Do you watch do you watch film on your own game, like your own goalie game, or are you just more, watching with the team to understand as a defensive unit, where can we get better?
So we usually watch a lot of film as a defensive unit, and like whether it's scouting teams or watching practice film to see like what's going on in practice if we're not, playing our defenses right. And then towards the end of the season, we started watching film on the shooters of our opponents.
Mm-hmm.
Like the four of us goalies would go up into Coach Toomey's office, and he'd cut up clips of the previous games of the opponent that we're playing and all their shots, and trying to pick up some tendencies from that. But other than that, I don't watch too much film on my play or save, like all that.
Mm-hmm. Did that end up helping you out, watching those shooters' tendencies? Like, did you then, when you went into the next game, did you say, all right, here's number 7, he's driving down the alley left-handed, like he loves to shoot low and away on this? I mean, is that kind of your what went through your head, or something different?
I think it did, but I think it definitely helped pick up some tendencies. But at the same time, it's also, you can psych yourself out with that. I think
Yeah.
that happened in the Denver game a little bit. They went on a little run, and they had tendencies to come down the alley and shoot low angle shots all high. So they started mixing it up and shooting them low, and I was like, we didn't watch this is new. So
Yeah.
I think in those situations it kind of psyched me out a little bit. But other than that, I think it's a great thing to practice doing. You can learn so much from a shooter by watching film. So
Yeah, it is. It's interesting. I could see kind of both sides to it, because in some ways, like, shooters are shooters, and like they like to shoot where they like to shoot, especially in certain situations. But as a goalie, like, you don't want to lose that ability to just read and react, to like see the ball and just rely on all that training that you've done. You don't want to get in your own head with, like, all right, he's going to shoot low. Oh no, he shot high, I'm screwed. So
and that's ultimately what it comes down to, sticking to your training and what you've been doing for such a long time. So
yeah. What do you say to a goalie that, like, starts to overthink things? What would be your advice to a young goalie in that situation?
stick to your fundamentals. I think people get so caught up in, new things that they learn maybe, but ultimately in the long run, it comes down to what you've learned when you first started playing goalie. You know, you see the ball,
Mm-hmm.
you see towards the ball, and you know, if you do those things and you stick to your basics, then things will work out just fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Do you have some sort of like post goal routine? Like when you give up a goal, is there some sort of like routine that you go through, or what do you do?
Not really. I mean,
Mhm.
we definitely bring it in as a defensive unit and talk about what happened and how we can fix that, and you know, talking about what we can do next. But me personally, like if I give up a bad goal, then I'll tell myself like, okay, next one, you're good, you're fine.
Mhm.
But you know, not really. There's nothing big that I do after a goal
Yeah.
to refocus.
And what are the when you're bringing it in with the team, like what are some of those conversations? Is it because it's got to be quick, but so
Yeah,
is it like, hey, slide earlier on 25?
yeah, exactly. It's like if someone's dominating the game, you know, like we got to go early to that, and that's the
Mm-hmm.
end of it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well, it's talk about it and then move on to the next play.
Yeah. Yeah, and you mentioned like letting in bad goals. I like to like do like a physical gesture. Like I was real big on like I would do, you know, sometimes like goalies will kind of like pat themselves on the chest like a my
Yeah,
bad. Like I got that one, and I'd like to do it with a head shake. You know, like I'm gonna get that one next time, and just that just lets your defense know that like, hey, they're playing good D. You'll take responsibility for that one. I'll get the next one.
yeah, and it's also important to like make sure your defense knows that as well. You know, like
Right.
obviously there are times when you do give up bad goals, and it's important that they have the confidence that you're going to get that next time. So
Yeah. Yeah, and you don't have to always do it on goals. I mean, if you if you make a save and you see like a contested on the run 14-yard shot, right? You'll be like, great defense. I'll take that one every single time.
yeah,
So, yeah. Well, awesome. So yeah, and the Denver game, you're one of very few goalies, Sam, who has gone viral for a save. You know what I mean? I've never done it. A couple goalies have, but I mean that save at the end was definitely one. If you're a lacrosse goalie, I mean, even if you're just a lover of the sport of lacrosse, that got everyone going.
yeah,
It's
that was
awesome.
fun.
Yeah. What are you seeing on that final play? So like they get the ball, sort of an unsettled situation. You know, I forget how much time's left. 10 seconds left in the game. They got the ball at half. Um, what walk us through that play if you could, if you remember.
Um, you know, obviously I think we had one offensive midi on the field. We kind of prepared for that to happen. So
Mm-hmm.
we had, I think, our LSM and a close to or a short stick midi on the field. So and then they just went fast. I don't really know what happened. They pushed the ball so fast, and I saw number 9 on Denver kind of get underneath our defenseman and
Yeah.
catch the ball in the crease, and he threw a fake, and then he tried to put it back near side, and I kind of like nudged my shoulder up, and I caught it luckily, and that was the game. That was crazy.
That was crazy. Yeah, it's such an interesting thing as lacrosse goalies because I'm like, first of all, this is a lacrosse goalie podcast, and a lot of what we do is just put ourselves in the best position to like make a save. You know what I mean? And it's like if the ball hits me in the chest pad, I don't care. That's a save. Like I've done my work. You know, I'm not going to debate whether or not like that was a quote unquote save or not. Like that's a save to me. And it's always funny to see like when a goalie has a big save, everyone's like, well, did he really do anything to get
Yeah,
there? And to me, I'm like, come on, man, this position is hard enough as is. Don't discredit a great save by a goalie.
exactly.
My thoughts. But anyway, yeah, so he catches it like, let's say like moving across the goal and throws a high fake, which as goal, like you have to honor that,
Yeah.
right? Like there's no way you can't go up and try and not block that fake. Or are
Mhm.
there scenarios where you wouldn't?
I mean, I think especially in that like short, I think you gotta. I
Yeah.
mean, he could have just put it right over my head, but he threw a fake and tried to put it back to the near pipe, and luckily my body was in the way of it. So
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just, I mean, that's another key on those in close ones. first of all, like the odds are very much not in our favor. Like you would expect an attackman to score that 9 times out of 10. Cause it's so difficult. They can shoot at any angle. They can throw these little quick fakes that we have to honor. So just to set expectations, like for the youth who ask me about those, how do I stuff more one-on-ones? Like, first of all, understand that we're going to give up a lot of goals, but staying big, just staying big. Like at no point in that whole save did you ever get small. So like, you got a big body, use it, stay as big as you can.
Yeah, luckily I'm big enough to, have that size that if I miss it with my stick, there's a pretty good chance of it catching my body. So that's definitely a beneficial thing for me.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So then you kind of like, lift the shoulder a little bit. It hit you in the shoulder.
Yeah. So it hit me in
Nice.
my right shoulder. I'm a lefty. So he
Yeah.
like threw my stick side and tried to put it back. And I kind of went like this and hit off my shoulder in the rebound. I don't remember where it went, but
Yeah. Well, I think you guys got it and you just Gilmaned it down. So that was the game. Unbelievable. Congratulations. What a game. A walk-off save is kind of like every goalie's dream, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great, man. Got me all pumped up now. Let's get out there and play some wall ball. Well, cool. How about going through a slump? I'm sure, at some point, even, maybe it was during this season when you got benched. How do you go about getting out of that slump? What's your both your mindset and kind of like the physical way you'd get out of that slump?
I mean, I think for me, in my circumstance, I wasn't having fun playing lacrosse, and it's something that we all love to do. Like you play lacrosse because you love to do it. So I think it was getting back to finding that joy and going to practice every day and having fun, like being with all your friends even, we're lucky to be in the cases that we are. Like I'm so lucky to be able to play lacrosse at Loyola. And I think realizing that and, looking around and seeing the support staff that I have and all my friends there to like be there for me while I'm like down and out. So I think it's just understanding like your case and attacking that,
Yeah.
everything happens to everyone too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. Oftentimes, especially as goalies, when we're not having fun, we get like really tense, and that's like the exact opposite of what you want to be when you want to explode and react. But when you are having fun, you're loose, you're in the zone, you're playing free. It applies to all positions, but I think even more the goalie. So yeah, that's great advice. The other thing you said there that I liked was, I don't think you used the word, but it's kind of like gratitude,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm so blessed to be playing this amazing sport and, being able to attend an elite university and, get great education and play this beautiful game all at the same time. A lot of times you forget that. And when things aren't going well, like it's that attitude of gratitude that gets you back into it and gets you back into having fun.
Yeah. And, in the grand scheme of things, lacrosse is a tiny blip in your life. So,
Mm-hmm.
we're all going to move on one day and, it's going to be just a memory gone with the wind.
Yep. Love it. Love it. What about pregame rituals? What does your pregame look like, Sam?
Typically I just do the same thing every game, the night before. I like to play video games with my friends. And then I wake up, get a coffee and some breakfast. And then, depending on what time the game is at, if we have a night game, I like to go home and, either watch whatever games are on then or play some video games or watch a movie. But superstitions, I don't really have much. But I like to have the same, rituals or not rituals, but the same, things that I do every game day. So it all like, you're not missing anything. It feels like you've been there before. So
Yeah, that's what I like most about pregame rituals is it just kind of like takes you don't have to think about it. you know what works for you, and you're not like stressing, all right, well, what do I eat for breakfast? What time do I eat? And you don't have all these like extra thoughts going on in your head. It's like, I have this routine and I can just coast and, be excited for a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you do the same things that you do before every game, it all blends together and it's all the same. So that's my kind of process behind that.
Yeah. I like it. Yeah. And so that, a lot of times goalies write me about, them having like a bad string of practices or a bad string of games. And it's something we've kind of touched on, we've been chatting about already, but what would you say to that goalie? Is it just the have fun, the have fun mantra?
Yeah. And I think also, to get back to how you want to be playing, it's important to see shots. During a practice, you typically might not see as many shots as you'd like to see, but there's nothing from stopping you from seeing shots after practice, like
Yeah.
whether it's back or going early to see more shots or staying after, that is huge in, getting out of that slump.
Yep. Great point. Yeah. See shots. And even like higher quality shots than you're used to, if you're ready. Like if you're, a 9-year-old and you're just starting, don't get a college guy to shoot on you. But, if you are a high school kid, like, hey, and there's a college in the area, like DM some of the college kids on that team and say, hey, do you want to shoot on me for half hour on a Saturday or Sunday or before practice? Or I'm sure they would love to do that. And then like, oh, guess what? When you start seeing the normal high school kids shots, they're not going to look as fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. 100%.
Yeah. Awesome. Anything else mental game wise that comes to mind, or maybe something that Coach Toomey would repeat quite a bit to you and the team?
Before every game, me and Coach Toomey we talk off to the side after I get warmed up, and we go over what our game plan is for that, and he always leaves me with go have fun. So I think that is one of my main things that it makes me comfortable. If I'm having fun, I'm comfortable in the net. So
Yeah, for sure. What do you love most about being a goalie? Like what's the most fun for you?
I think there's nothing better than making that say whether it's in practice, you stuff someone on the crease, or you see a shot all the way through from the outside and you make the clean save. And I think there's nothing better than that feeling in the world. Seeing that shot, and it's like the adrenaline, it's everything put together, and it's the best position. It's the toughest, but it's the best.
Amen, brother. Amen. Yeah, there is nothing better than making a save, I mean, it doesn't even matter if it's an easy save. I don't know. I just obviously, like, when you make saves like the one you made in the Denver game, they have a little bit more emphasis, a little bit more weight behind them. But I don't know, just even like a stick side high save, like this position that we play is so tough, and you put in so much work, to be able to make those saves. And when you do, to me, that's an amazing feeling.
Mm-hmm. It's the best in the world.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool, Sam. Well, thanks so much for coming on. What about your stick setup? What do you go with for your stick?
So right now, I use the Eclipse 2, and I'm not really sure what the shaft. We have Epic, our gear suppliers Epic, so I use like an Epic shaft.
Yeah.
And then I use East Coast Dyes wax mesh. So that's always
the wax mesh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I know I've used it ever since high school, and I can't use anything else.
Yeah. Do they still make it, or do you have to, like, how do you?
I'm not sure if they still make it. I have like a bag full of it. So
You've got a treasure chest full of ECD wax.
I've been stowing it away. So
Yeah, that's right. That's pretty funny. Do you string up your own heads?
Absolutely not. We had someone on our team who graduated who strung all my sticks, and I'm kind of a psychopath about my sticks. So if I get someone to string it and it's not how I like it to be strung, and then I gotta go find another person to string it, and it's a get someone to string my sticks. But I find them, and whoever that person is, I stick with them.
How do you like it to be strung?
So I like kind of like a mid to low pocket, and I like a really big pocket, but I get all psyched out. Like if it's not how my other sticks look, I'm like, it's not right. I gotta get it fixed. So
Yeah.
it has been like the death of me, and everyone probably hates me for that. But
Hey, goalies are superstitious that way, you know?
it's weird. But
Yeah. Awesome. Well, cool. Sam, thank you so much for coming on. I usually ask goalies to give the youth out there one last piece of advice. I'm pretty sure yours is going to be have fun, huh?
yep, enjoy what you love doing, and if you love playing lacrosse, then you should always be having fun.
Awesome. Well, good luck in the upcoming season. I'll be watching for sure. And yeah, once again, thank you so much, Sam.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.